Death, the inescapable destiny of humankind. It's the one universal truth, a stark reality that every single person born into this world must face. From dust we come, and to dust we shall return. Or so the narrative of our mortal existence dictates. The Bible itself reminds us in Romans 5:12 that death entered the world because of sin, and since then its shadow has fallen upon all people. It's a reality we simply cannot escape. Our time will inevitably come. But what if I told you that the ancient sacred pages of the Bible whisper tales of three extraordinary men who defied this ultimate truth, challenging the very principle of mortality? Three men who never tasted the bitter sting of death, whose lives culminated not in a grave, not in a final breath, but in breathtaking, miraculous departures that transcend mortal understanding and leave us in awe of divine power. These aren't mere legends or allegories. They are profound accounts preserved for millennia, etched into the foundational texts of Abrahamic faiths, beckoning us to look beyond the veil of our ordinary reality. Prepare to have your understanding of life and death radically challenged. We're diving deep into the astounding stories of Enoch, Elijah, and a figure so shrouded in mystery that his very existence defies conventional logic, Melchizedek. Their journeys shatter conventional expectations, offering glimpses into a realm where divine will overrides natural law, leaving us with profound questions about faith, destiny, and the very nature of existence itself. Enoch, the man who walked so closely with God. He vanished. Our journey begins in the antediluvian world, a time often perceived through a hazy lens of ancient history, with Enoch. He was not born into privilege or prophetic lineage in the way some might expect, but came through the line of Adam and Eve's third son, Seth, a lineage that would eventually lead to Noah, the patriarch saved from the great flood. In a time rife with moral decay and pervasive wickedness, where human thoughts and actions were continuously evil, Enoch chose a profoundly different path. He was the seventh generation from Adam, yet he stood apart. The Bible's account of Enoch is remarkably brief, yet incredibly profound. Genesis 5:22-24 states simply, Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, for God took him. This wasn't just about following rules or adhering to rituals. It was a deep, continuous, and intimate fellowship with the Creator. Walking with God implies a constant daily communion, a life lived in perfect harmony with divine will. It involved daily conversations, a profound alignment with God's guidance, and actions that mirrored his righteous character. This level of intimacy was unique and extraordinary, setting Enoch apart in a world consumed by corruption. He lived in complete harmony with God's will, a life of unwavering trust and obedience that was profoundly pleasing to God. Imagine that. After 365 years of this continuous, unbroken fellowship, he vanished. Not in sickness or old age, not through the common end of all flesh, but in a divine embrace, inexplicably spared the sting of death. His translation into heaven was an unparalleled act of divine favor, a reward for a faith so pure and a devotion so complete that it pleased God beyond measure. What was it about Enoch's relentless faith, his unwavering trust, and his complete obedience that earned him such an extraordinary, non-mortal destiny? His story encourages us to seek a deeper, more meaningful connection with God, one that can transform our lives and inspire those around us. Elijah, the prophet carried away by a fiery chariot. Next, we are thrust into the dynamic and often tumultuous narrative of Elijah, a prophet of God who served in Israel during a period of immense moral and spiritual decline. He bravely confronted King Ahab, one of Israel's most corrupt monarchs, and his notorious wife, Queen Jezebel, who had led the nation into rampant idol worship of the pagan god Baal. Elijah stood as a solitary, unyielding voice for the God of Israel, challenging the darkness with divine truth. Elijah's life was a dramatic testament to divine power and unwavering courage. He boldly proclaimed a severe drought as a judgment for the nation's idolatry, during which ravens miraculously brought him food, and a widow's flour and oil never ran out, a testament to God's miraculous provision. He famously challenged the hundreds of prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel in an epic showdown, where fire descended from heaven to consume his drenched sacrifice, undeniably proving that the Lord alone is God. Despite these powerful miracles and undeniable demonstrations of divine power, Elijah faced relentless opposition, even praying for death in his exhaustion after Jezebel sought his life. Yet, God met him in a quiet whisper on Mount Horeb, renewing his strength and purpose. Elijah's time on earth culminated not in a quiet passing, but in a spectacle of raw, divine power that has captivated minds for millennia. As he walked with his successor Elisha, their conversation abruptly interrupted by the miraculous. Suddenly, a chariot of fire drawn by fiery horses appeared, blazing with celestial light, and Elijah was swept up to heaven in a whirlwind. He did not die in the traditional sense. He was transported, transcending the earthly realm in a blaze of glory. Leaving Elisha to pick up his fallen mantle, imagine the sheer majesty and awe of that moment. The heavens opening, a divine vehicle descending, and a mortal man carried away before the eyes of another. What profound message did his dramatic, fiery departure send to the world about God's power, his faithfulness to his prophets, and the ultimate destiny that awaits those who serve him with unwavering devotion? His legacy of unwavering courage and obedience continued to inspire generations, proving that even in the face of overwhelming wickedness, God protects, provides for, and ultimately rewards those who stand for his truth. Melchizedek, the mysterious king-priest without beginning or end. Finally, we encounter Melchizedek, a figure of profound mystery and enigmatic origins, whose sudden appearance and inexplicable disappearance in the biblical narrative defy conventional explanation. He first emerges in Genesis 14 in a brief yet pivotal scene. After Abraham's victorious return from battle, Melchizedek suddenly appears, seemingly from nowhere. Described as the king of Salem and priest of God Most High, he brought out bread and wine, symbols of communion, and blessed Abraham. In response, Abraham, recognizing his authority, gave him a tithe, a tenth of everything he had. The very name Melchizedek means king of righteousness, and Salem, the city he ruled, which would later become Jerusalem, means peace, making him the king of peace. His unique priesthood, transcending the later Mosaic law and the Levitical priesthood, is later referenced in Psalm 110:4, where David, speaking prophetically about the Messiah, declares, "You are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek." This verse directly links Melchizedek's eternal priesthood to that of Jesus Christ, who is described in the New Testament book of Hebrews as our eternal high priest. Unlike the temporary Levitical priesthood, which was based on human lineage and prescribed rituals, Melchizedek's priesthood, and thus Jesus's, is eternal and based on divine authority. But the most puzzling aspect of Melchizedek, and the primary reason he belongs in this extraordinary company of men who did not die, is found in the New Testament book of Hebrews 7:3. It states in astounding fashion that he had no father or mother, no record of his ancestors, no beginning of days or end of life, but like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. This astonishing description has led to millennia of theological debate and speculation. Was he a historical figure whose genealogy was intentionally omitted by the biblical writers, to symbolize Christ's eternal nature? Or was he perhaps a Christophany, an actual appearance of Christ in the Old Testament, a divine manifestation that predates his incarnation in Bethlehem? Regardless of his exact identity, Melchizedek serves as a powerful, enduring symbol of Christ's eternal priesthood, a spiritual authority that transcends human lineage, earthly limitations, and even the constraints of time. What does Melchizedek's profound mystery teach us about the timeless and unending nature of God's divine plan and the ultimate, eternal priesthood of Jesus Christ? An enduring legacy of faith and divine favor. These are not mere legends. These are profound biblical accounts that have resonated through millennia, sparking debate, inspiring unwavering faith, and forcing us to confront the limitations of our own mortal understanding. They stand as powerful testaments to a God who is not bound by human conventions or the laws of nature as we perceive them. They beckon us to look beyond the veil of the mundane, to consider the possibility of destinies that transcend the boundaries of life and death as we know it, pointing to a sovereign God who holds ultimate power over all creation, even the ultimate end. What do you make of these incredible stories? Are they literal accounts of astonishing divine intervention and reward for profound faith? Are they symbolic representations of ultimate righteousness and God's power over death? Or perhaps something even more profound, hinting at spiritual truths and divine realities beyond our full comprehension? Share your thoughts, theories, and reflections in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective on these astounding biblical figures and their extraordinary departures. And if you've been captivated and inspired by these tales of the extraordinary, by the sheer wonder of God's power revealed in these lives, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Join our community as we continue to explore the profound mysteries and miraculous truths hidden within the sacred texts, seeking deeper understanding and greater awe for the divine. What other biblical enigmas, extraordinary figures, or challenging questions about faith would you like us to illuminate in our next video?